Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Tim and Hillary with another Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast. And today we have two special guests. We have the General Manager of Aquarium Systems and Reptile Systems from France, Thomas Birchery. And then we
Hello.
have Dale Lewis, who is the UK manager of Reptile Systems and Aquarium Systems, but he migrates back and forth, taking the channel every month back to France.
Hi, hello everyone.
So what we're going to do today is we are going to talk about the different brands, Reptile Systems, ASF, and Dr. Tim's. Dr. Tim's Aquatics sells and distributes Reptile Systems and ASF in the US, and Thomas and Dale sell and represent Dr. Tim's, basically the rest of the world. Japan,
Sounds right.
England, and Europe,
China.
China, places up. So welcome, gentlemen.
Hello.
So Thomas, why don't you give us a little history of ASF and what you guys, where you began, and because it's a very interesting story, I think, and take it over.
Well, hello everyone. So ASF stands for Aquarium Systems France. It's quite easy to understand. So the company was created in 1983 by my father, Alain, who is not with us tonight.
But he is with us, folks. He's just not on the podcast.
He's not on the podcast. Yes, correct. And in 1983, we started the first production of synthetic sea salt in France after years of research. So my dad has been the first one in the world that managed to reproduce clownfishes using non-live food. I'm not sure if I explained myself correctly. So it was basically created live food using pellets or flakes. And that was in the mid-1970s. And after that, he was in contact with Aquarium Systems USA, so incorporated, who were the maker of Instant Ocean at that time. So AS US was created in 1964. And so at first, my dad started distributing the product in Europe. And due to exchange rate and rapid growth, it was easier for us to manufacture directly the sea salt in Europe. So that's how it started 41 years ago. Then we've developed a full range of products for aquariums, such as filters, heaters. We were the maker of the first visitor, so that was the first heaters for aquariums that was using a thermostat that you can choose the temperature. You were just turning a knob and you have the adjusted temperature without having needed a thermometer or anything else. And in the early 1990s, we came out with Reef Crystals, which was a formula for reef tank. So that means everything was incorporated inside, so you didn't have to use extra trace element or extra calcium or extra magnesium to run a reef tank. And then step by step, we grew and we developed other products. And we developed in 2017 Reptile Systems. So we decided to launch reptile products because we were having already some reptile products under the ASF or Aquarium Systems name. And at the end of the day, it was easier to develop a specific range of products with the quality we wanted to develop. And in 2019, we partnered with Dr. Tim's Aquatic to develop these products in the USA. But we know Tim for much too long. I would say about 25 years, something like this.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I was a young man at that time.
I was a younger man at that time.
And yeah, I remember Tim visiting the factory in France. I was still a teenager. Was having some dinner home with my parents, and yeah, and we keep contact since then. I officially joined the company in the mid 2006. I've started, and since then we try to draft a new story for the company.
Thank you, Thomas. That's very, very nice. As you can see, the Aquarium Systems, ASF, family owned, originated like most of us with fish. Just a hobbyist that turned it into a family business and continues the trend. And Dale is also a fish guy, but more on the reptile or running kind of the reptile vision.
Started on the fish side before I came onto the reptile side many years ago.
Yeah, Hillary's got a question, Dale. Hold on.
Oh, this could be a bad one. Good one.
Actually, it was a question for Thomas. Tim said that we're all fish people. We started out as hobbyists. So what is your favorite fish?
Well, it has to be clownfishes because of the story. I mean, when I was born, we were living in an apartment. I think there was about 40 different tanks in the apartment with clownfishes everywhere, because that was my dad's favorite fish on the marine side. And yeah, so I think I've been, maybe they put some clownfish's DNA in my blood. I don't know, but must be something like this.
A lot of companies started out that way. I know Tetra, Marineland, all started with an owner who turned their passion into a business and continued on. And that's why those, all quality brands, Marineland, Tetra, ASF, Dr. Tim, are all about quality, because there's someone behind it that loves fish and grew up in fish, not a big giant corporation. So.
Exactly.
I think that's fair. I think when you look at behind some brands that do it for the numbers or do it for the market rather than the product, the animal welfare, that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is that everything is tested and checked to make sure that animal welfare is the most paramount thing. Does it mean we're a bit slow to market sometimes? Yes. Do we over-engineer and maybe kind of check things to the final nail is in the coffin? Yes. Does that make us better? Yes. Morals count, and animal welfare. Could we put our name to a product knowing that something isn't quite right? And the answer is no, we can't. So everything we do has a reassurance that, yeah, whether it's a salt, whether it's a pump, whether it's a UV product for a reptile, everything has the absolute maximum attention to detail that it is right for the animal, not just out the box, but in 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, whatever's needed, really.
So as Tomas said, he grew up in an apartment full of aquariums full of clownfish, and Dale grew up in tanks too, kegs that just happened to be full of beer because he grew up in a bar or a pub, more correct.
Yeah, so in England it'd be called a pub. Yes, it'd be called a pub. No, I had tanks as well. I think I had 60 tanks by the time I was 17, all breeding different fish and selling it to local fish shops, which kind of paid for my ever-expanding hobby. Just as you can imagine, the electricity bill was quite high even back then. But yeah, reptiles came a lot later. But I've never been surrounded by as many reptiles as I was fish tanks, even to this day. But now in France, at our head office, yeah, there's definitely a lot of reptiles as we've managed to sneak into the building more than fish now. Definitely have more of vivariums and enclosures in there.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dale, and then I know the fish and reptile room. There are actual many live animals in a testing facility in France where we test everything, competitors' products, all sorts of new products, and care for a number of animals.
It all started originally when we wanted to find the best reptile lighting products. The problem is that you speak to a manufacturer, it doesn't matter where they are, where they're located, but they'll tell you what their product can do and what it does. And unfortunately, when we started using these products ourselves over our own animals, mainly as a hobby, we were quite shocked to find that actually what the manufacturer said it was doing wasn't actually being delivered in their product, which led us to then start to check other people's products. It led us to check our prototype samples we were working on, and it led us to become a better manufacturer for animal welfare. Right now, we have our test bay can test nearly 200 lamps at any one time, and that's done in two ways. Well, three ways really. The first one is long-term testing. So if we say that a T5 lamp is going to give the animal full UVB coverage for 1 year, we have to make sure that lamp has run for 1 year and it's still delivering. The second term is short-term testing. So this will be things like prototypes. This will be batch control. So we'll manufacture a range of mercury vapor lamps or T5 lamps, and we check the batch to make sure that what the UVI output of that lamp actually matches what we put on our packaging. I believe we were one of the first manufacturers to actually quote on our packaging what our UVI is at what distance using our product. Whereas most people will talk about percentage, 6% lamp, 12% lamp, whatever it may be. We don't. We work in the Ferguson zones. And for UV, the Ferguson zones was developed to group all the animals together depending on their UVI requirements. So zone 1 being low and zone 4 being high. We match our UV dependent on the animals inside that zone. So a bearded dragon is zone 3. So you got a bearded dragon, you buy a zone 3. But the UVI quoted on the side of the box will tell you the UVI you'll get at whatever distance. So if your enclosure is 20 inches from lamp to animal, you can read the side of the box and it will tell you that this product will deliver a UVI of 4 at 20 inches, which is perfect for your bearded dragon. So we wanted to make the Reptile Systems wanted to be consumer friendly and animal welfare. And there are two main goals. To do that, we have to have lots of animals and lots of test facilities. So yes, we have 30 odd enclosures with lots of different species.
Yeah. But the thing is, we tried to apply the science we had in aquatic and to put this into the reptile industry. Because in aquatic, we do test every single day on the batch that we manufacture for salt. We do long-term testings with partners like public aquariums. And when we were looking at the reptile world, we never had that type of testings. Never. We tried, we asked the manufacturers, we asked some of our competitors, and none of them was doing something. So basically, and I remember this very well, was 2017 with Dale. We were in the UK and scratching our heads and says, how can we do this? And we start from a blank canvas. We had a first testing zone that was at first was what, 5 shelves, something like this. 10
Yeah,
shelves.
it was some.
And then
it was
it
some
grew up,
converted
and-
warehouse racking.
and we expand and trying to use a scientific method like Tim is doing for the bacteria to see the efficiency. So we really try to do the same with the same consistency. So it was always the same distance, the same testing materials. And of course, we cannot have a testing materials that some manufacturers have for UV, which cost tens of thousands of euro. So we needed to find something in between, but with a protocol. And that was I don't say the hardest thing, but that was fun to do. It was mind-blowing to do because it was interesting. And as Dale said, when you compare the results, you say, okay, that's competitor X or Z or A. And you compare and you say, okay, it's not what they claim. And sometimes we were surprised. They weren't even claiming anything. People were just assuming it was good, and it wasn't.
Yeah, or the length of time a product may last. That was the other thing. It was good out of the box, but it wouldn't last the time frame that some people claimed, and we just needed to make sure that if someone is spending, let's just say $50 on a product, it needs to be good enough to what their $50 is worth. And that was, yeah, and that's where the consumer part comes in. So it needs to be right for the animals, and it needs to be right and easy for the consumer. And they were the two, I suppose, mission statements of what we wanted really for Reptile Systems.
When you're measuring and you have these bays to test lamps and things like that, you're using meters. There's not animals. So some people are concerned that there's.
Oh, sorry, no. So we should. So our animal room and our testing facility are on two different floors. So in terms of the T5 lamp, it won't see the animal for potentially 9 to 12 months. So we'll get a blend of phosphor, which is the white powder inside the lamp. That'll go onto the test bay. It's tested for 3-6 months, make sure the light output is correct, the UVI, by checking with different meters, whether that's a lux meter, UVI meter, UVB, UVA, several different
UVC.
types. Well, yeah, and UVC, which is bad, so we have to check to make sure it doesn't produce any. Once all of those things are correct and we're happy, then does it move over to the animals? Because we need to make sure the animal doesn't hide away. We need to make sure the animal looks good underneath it for a start, responds to it. And all of this happens way before we even think about packaging, before we even think about the route to market. So yes, it can take maybe 1 year.
And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes we just don't make the product.
Yeah, that's happened. You get very close, but it just doesn't work.
Not all lamps are the same. There's a different. They all may light, but what we humans see as white light is really not the important part at all. It's the UVA and the UVB, and you brought up UVC, which you want a lack of, but there's been some lamps that have not from us, but other manufacturers that have put out dangerous amounts of UVC because they're not testing. And so, as with most things, Reptile Systems, it's you get what you pay for. There's a quality in there that's backed up. And if you want quality, you have to pay a little bit more. If you want something dirt cheap, well, you really shouldn't be in the reptile business or the fish business. Well, because it's harmful for the animals.
Yeah.
You get cheap, especially with the lighting, and lighting is not only critically important for reptiles, but bad lighting can be critically dangerous for reptiles. If you have a bad light over a fish tank, well, if it's a coral tank, your corals are going to suffer, but your fish, won't know. But for reptiles, you have to have the right and a safe light, and it can't be something cheap.
Going on that, Tim, is that the biggest problem with reptiles is that they're born survivors. So if you get the light wrong, you might not see a problem for 1 year. And then all of a sudden, it's too late. I mean, if you take a tortoise, for example, by the time you realize that there's something wrong with the tortoise, the problem could have been 3 years, 2 years old. And it can't be, it's not a quick fix. If you've got a light over your corals, for example, like you said, you're going to find out pretty quickly that your coral's not opening up and not feeding or not looking. But a tortoise could be, 1 year before you realize the shell started to pyramid, which is when it grows too quickly in a vertical direction, or it starts to go soft. It's so long in time before you realize there's a problem. And that's the survival instincts of reptiles, unfortunately.
This might make a great time to talk about the warranties, because we talked about how amazing our products are, and a lot, like, we stand behind what we make. So can you talk to the different warranties that we have for each of the products?
Yeah, so if you mercury vapor, it's a very, very old product, but still delivers great UV light and heat. And from the box, from when the consumer purchase, they get a 6-month guarantee. A T5 lamp, whether it's zone 1, 2, 3, or 4, the lamp will run for 1 year before you need to change it. So the lamp is never under warranty, so to speak, but you will get 1 year's UVI at the rate stated on the box out of the lamp. If you buy our Eco T5 unit, which has a T5 lamp inside, so the Eco T5 unit is a complete light fixture with the mains cord, the actual light ballast fixture itself, the lamp, the fittings to mount it, all in one box. That product has a 2-year guarantee. So the lamp that comes with it will last you 1 year before it needs to be replaced. But the actual product itself with the plug will last you 2 years. Our black clamp lamps, which you put things like mercury vapors into or basking spots, they come with a 2-year guarantee. Our gold infrared, the product itself has a 2-year guarantee. Basically, anything with a plug has a 2-year guarantee. That's probably the best way to say it.
In reptile, except in aquatic.
Yeah, in aquatic it changes. Some of our pumps have a 2-year guarantee, and then if you register, you can further. Yeah, you got a 5-year guarantee if you register your details.
And that brings up, because we haven't mentioned it, Dale mentioned pumps. And so, Thomas, tell us a little bit about.
I mean, we have developed electrical products since the beginning of the company. I mean, I think the Visitor was launched in 1985, and we have always been concerned and that we wanted to have quality products. And quality products meant at that time usually made in Italy. And it's still true up to this day. And long story short, yes, like you said, in 2021, we have relaunched a factory from scratch in Italy because we wanted to be able to manufacture by ourselves with the idea we wanted to have, and also not to lose the know-how, because sometimes when you develop a product, you give ideas. You can go to any pumps manufacturer that exists and you give them some ideas, but sometimes as in the reptile business, in aquatic, it doesn't work the first time. Sometimes you need 2, 3, 5 years of prototypings, of testing. Sometimes you have a pumps in the back burners of your mind, and that one day, oh, now I have the idea. Now I can make something. Now we found a way to have, I don't know, a better power consumption or to have a better flow rate. And it's true that what we have decided to do in Italy was to have a factory with state-of-the-art machinery, so we can have very good insulation, for electricity, because we deal with electricity in aquariums, so it can be very dangerous when you have 110 volts in your tank. If you have some wires that have issues, it's not good for you, that's for sure. So we decided to go for a state-of-the-art factory where we start to develop new products like the MX pump that you have in the US. It's a pump that, I mean, from a basic point of view, it takes water from a point A to go to a point B. But what we've done within 25 years, we managed to reduce the power consumption by more than half. If you look the new jet wave, the one you have in the US, you have for 1 watt, you can make the water circulation in your tank. And I think with what happens right now everywhere in the world, with the energy crisis, with the war in Ukraine, when you have the price going up for electricity, it's our duty to do products that are not going to give too much influence on the environment. So yeah, we need to have LEDs that are more efficient for lightings. We need to have pumps that are more energy efficient, so that your overall power consumption of the tank is reduced to its maximum. Unfortunately, when you need to eat, if you need 25 watts, you need 25 watts. This is nothing we can save here.
one thing you've been working on is less plastics, and that's the introduction of the Reef Shots, where instead of a 16-ounce bottle and labeling and things like that, you're able to come out with the Reef Shots, which are they can vary in size. They're molded on in-house, right?
Yeah.
So you see there's
so
no
the
carbon
idea
cost.
the idea of Reef Shots is when we do bottles, when you have a regular plastic bottle, first of all, I would say that 80% of the plastic that you use is new plastic, because the bottles need to have a certain quality, a certain strength to maintain the liquid inside, and then to fit well in the shelf, especially if you want a nice yellow color or blue color or whatever colors you want. By doing this, that means you use only new plastic, which is not the best. We know plastic is maybe not the best right now for our environment, but in countries where, for example, like we have in Europe, where recycling is very well rooted in our mind and in the way we do. So that means we can have now recycled plastic that we can use to make products and that are completely recyclable. And the advantage of using Reef Shots is for the 16 ounces bottle that we have, for example, you save 35% of weight of plastic, even though you have a single-use dose. So you have 24 doses to make 16 ounces. The product is always fresh, but when you use it, you still use 40% less plastic than you were using before, knowing that, yes, you use recycled plastic, which is recyclable. And also to compare, when you buy a full truckload of bottles, the equivalent of plastic film to make these vials is less than a pallet. So you save also in the shipping when you buy the products. So we really try to focus on making that type of savings step by step, and to move ahead and to reduce the plastic that we use. The bucket we are using for the Reef Evolution salt in the USA has been a development of several years with our bucket manufacturer, so we can use up to 80% of the plastic we use is recycled plastic and is always recyclable. So in the US, you have also some recycling facilities, so they can reuse this plastic to make something else. I don't know, shoes, clothes, whatever.
So Dr. Tim's benefits from that because we're able to learn on that technology and bring in some of those things and save transportation costs. But I think the common theme has been that amongst all the companies, it's quality, it's putting the pet first, putting the consumer second, delivering a product that's going to last. I mean, I still have Marineland aquarium filters that I bought in the 70s.
You still have rotors?
And
but I would imagine a lot of people have still got a maxi jet pump as well.
Yeah.
And
I mean the interesting part, if I go back now to Italy, sorry, we jump a little bit. When we try to reduce the power consumption of the pumps, we also try to reduce, as Tim says very justly, is that we reduce the size. So we reduce the use of plastic, we reduce the use of resin, and also to maximize the space available for your animals in your tank.
Yeah, nobody set an aquarium up to fill it full of pumps.
Yeah.
They're nice, but they're not that good looking.
We do prefer corals and fish. Oh, freshwater fish, sorry.
So here in the States, if you're looking for Reptile Systems or ASF, you get it. Dr. Tim sells, distributes those products to distributors and then to pet stores or authorized websites. And then in Europe, more and more, it's been co-branded originally with ASF and Dr. Tim's, but now there's some that are carrying the white bottles as we look to eliminate our white bottles or to reduce their sizes or look for plastic footprints. But there's a big mesh, a mixing of the three brands across the world. Yep. And
I think we are one of the only group that I'm aware of that have several facilities like this all around the world, which everyone is specialized in something. I mean, in USA, you're specialized in making all the bacteria, the best bacteria in the world, no doubt, no single doubt about it.
Yes, no doubt.
In France, we do mostly the chemicals for aquariums, like sea salt, the additives for reef tanks, and then in Italy we produce all the electrical products. So and I think it's very, very rare that you have such type of group working together for animal welfare.
Yeah. And Japan's an interesting market. Tell us a little bit about that. They've got gorgeous fish, but the consumers are very demanding there, I think.
Yeah. Well, Japan is a nice market. So we are in Japan for more than 25 years as well, or 30 years. And Japanese consumers are very picky. So that means to convince them that to use your products, you need time, lots of time. But in Japan, yes, they have a very interesting way of looking at fish. Sometimes you have gorgeous fish, gorgeous aquarium, but they have a filtration system that is 4 times the size of the tank. I mean, it's amazing to see. They have a quality of fish and corals that I don't say you find nowhere else, but they are at another level. That's for sure. And they love our products. I have to be frank. Even public aquariums buy salt from France to go to Japan, which is nearby the sea. So you say, okay, you could take seawater, filter it. No, but they know using artificial seawater is going to be better for the animals. So they take our products. And I remember very well, I had the chance to visit a nice public aquarium called the Nifrel in just next to Osaka. And usually we thank our customers to use our products and to have confidence in and in that case, the curator of the public aquarium bend to us and say thank you to us for the quality of the products. And I think that was an amazing experience. That gives you humility, but it's a huge I don't know how to say in English, but it's a huge reward for us and for all the people that works in the company, because I'm not the one that makes sea salt. We are a team making the sea salt. So all the workers are dedicated to give the best products, because if they made a mistake or if they have a bad packaging, it will have an influence on all on the whole process. So everyone needs to play its part. So we are a team.
So Dale, can you give us any hints on some new products that for Reptile Systems we're going to introduce in the US this year?
No, I can't divulge that secret information, Tim. That's trade secrets. No, there is. So there's a brand new reptile product which is going to be called Eco Halogen. So there's the main way of heating your enclosure is by using either a traditional light bulb, like what you call a basking spot, or you can use a halogen lamp. Now, a halogen lamp is much more economical than using a basking spot. For example, you need a 100-watt basking spot for a 75-watt halogen, so it's cost effective. Halogens last 3 or 4 times longer than a basking spot. And we've called ours the Eco Halogen because we have a very unique angle looking at the Eco Halogen. When the Eco Halogen has run to the end of its life, you can literally unscrew the screw part to the body and remove only the capsule of lighting that's inside and replace this. Normally, when the light bulb has gone or the halogen has gone, you have to replace the whole thing. But the only part that's gone is 2.5% of the body weight, which is inside the product. So why change the glass? Why change the metal? Why change the screw? Why change all the wiring when it actually only is the very, very small capsule inside the body? So we developed a product called Eco Halogen where you do just that. If when the halogen is exhausted, you only change the halogen inside the body, and you literally just unscrew, take out the small lighting capsule, and then insert a new one in. As I said, and it's 2.5% of the product that needs to be replaced, rather than throwing the whole thing in the bin or recycling. Sorry, trash. You only replace. The other good news is that one unit can do all of the different wattages. So if you brought a 50 watt and you increase your terrarium size and you went from a 2 foot to a 3 foot and you wanted a 75 watt, for example, you don't need to buy a 75 watt halogen. You only need to buy a 75 watt capsule that fits inside your existing body. And that's it. So that's available as 25, 50, 75 and 100 watt in the white light and also the red light.
Yeah. We'll be showing these at the shows this spring and then have them available in the summer. And they come in 2 flavors, right? White and a red?
White and a red, yeah. The red is not commonly used for reptiles anymore, to be fair. There's lots of, we also know that animals can see red. But there's also lots of interest for the red outside of the reptile industry. Poultry, for example, broodstock, just actually kind of keeping things warm. Things like pigs, Hillary, anything like that can be used. So it's not just used in the reptile industry. It's also used outside of the reptile industry as well.
We're not going to get into pig farming.
No, we're not going to do that. Pig systems doesn't have.
They do need bacteria.
Yes, they need a lot of bacteria.
They do. Yes.
Not your pig, Hillary, but other pigs. So we'll have that out in the shows. Show season starts in a couple of weeks with the Global Pet Expo, and then Reefapaloozas and the NRABCs and Aquashellas. So if you're around, Dale will be out and Thomas will be out for a couple of shows throughout the year. And we always like talking to people and talking about differences, because we've got basically a foot in North America and a foot in Europe. We can bring trends over quite rapidly and switch back and forth and just educate each other on what people are doing and consumers are doing, so we can get products and ideas over here faster for the benefit of the animals. And as Tomas said, it's a lot of energy conservation, because why waste the energy? Why spend the money? And why all this excess packaging and things like that? So work with a lot of European manufacturers and developing, not only in Italy on the pumps, but in France on the chemicals, and then in England where Dale heads up the reptile development. He's just not always.
It is. No, but it is interesting that Europe definitely seems to be a lot stricter when it comes to the plastics, when it comes to the electrical use. We are seeing, especially through Europe, probably not so much the UK thanks to Brexit, but we are seeing a lot more strict rules. There's certain types of packaging that's already been banned in Europe. The blister pack that your waste away gels comes in. You can't produce this anymore. So there's lots of packaging. There's lots of things. Every year we have a plastic. We already have WE tax, which is the tax on electrical items to try and keep the wattage down. We're trying to manufacture to keep plastics down, energy down. And it's an ongoing thing. Reptiles are suffering in terms of T5 lamps, because they are not energy efficient. So we need to be moving more and more over to LEDs, which is fine for visible light, but it's very early days in terms of the an LED UV light. Few of us have got one. We've got one, but we need to do more work. We need to make them better and stronger. So there's always ongoing projects behind the scenes to make the product range even better, and more cost effective, more energy efficient. Constant on the go.
That is our basically towards the end of our time, but it was idea here was to introduce you that there are real people who care about animals, who have teams behind them that develop these products, and that's kind of the common thread through all the companies, is that people that care about the animals and want to bring good products to the market.
That's a nice summary.
To get more information, you can visit aquariumsystems.com, reptilesystems.com, Dr. Tim's Aquatics, and
also all the social media.
Social media. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Reptile Systems UK.
You go on Facebook or Instagram and you can check. You have now we are working, so we have 2 people trying to make videos and social media, not all day long, but so one is one of the sales guys in France that you can see on the reels or the different videos, and also our graphic designer that makes all the video content. And so the idea is to promote not only our products. Of course, we speak a little bit about our products, but we also try to give some knowledge to people. We have reptile care guide on our website, and now we try to promote them on our Facebook or Instagram. We have the same. We have coral guide that we are using on social media, and really these are very helpful tips, in terms of lighting, where you should put the corals in the tank, what type of food you should give to your corals, of course, the best. Also, we need to realize that there are new studies, and that's when, for example, we have the reef bacteria food, which is a great way to have bacteria in your tank that the corals can filter. So it helps, and we try to stay up our game and to be always up to date.
And I gotta add to that, following the Reptile Systems European social media, you guys did a post recently about the red crocodile skink. Do I have the name right?
Yeah.
About how it had babies in the enclosure and you didn't realize it. That was very cool.
Yeah, so the red crocodile skink is in one of our paludariums. So a paludarium is when you have fish at the bottom and reptiles or plants at the top, all in one enclosure. And the crocodile skinks live in the substrate. And yeah, it's a complete mixed species. We've got community fish on one side in the river section. Then we've got the red crocodile skinks which bury themselves in the substrate. And then we've got green anoles on the top with the plants and the wood. So it's a complete mix. And Martin was in there, the guy that you see on social media. He was digging around, doing his routine maintenance, and found a little baby.
To find the eggs first. Find the eggs.
So now it's in a small enclosure by itself, not to spook it too much by putting it into a large enclosure. And we're gonna document and follow its progress. Yeah, we've had some great breeding results over the years from several different types of snakes.
Frog.
The white tree frog. We had lots of babies from the white tree frogs. I think we had about 100 tadpoles.
150, if I remember well.
And then we got about 85 frogs that got to about an inch and a half long, and then we sort of sold them back into the trade so other people could start to keep them. So no, it's been an interesting thing. So if you do follow the Reptile Systems on Facebook or Instagram, then you'll see a lot more of the animal room. You'll see a lot more of the test facility that we spoke about earlier. All the videos are shot either in the animal room or in the test bay area, so you'll get to see all the enclosures in the background. And as Thomas said, the idea is we don't want to sit there and say, this is the best, you should buy this, in a very boring way. Sometimes we'll just educate in, did you know that we've got this, and this is the best way to use it, and this is what we recommend substrate wise, and this is what we recommend lighting, and this is good for this animal. Have you tried this? And we like feedback. On every video, we want to know what people's thoughts are or what they're doing. I mean, Hillary, you've got the social media, the same. You want people to engage and interact, and then we learn from each other. So yeah, it kind of makes sense to have fun with social media, but it's a serious tool at the same time. So
Well, I appreciate you guys joining us, because I know the time zone difference, it's, I don't know, 8:30, 9:30 in the UK and France or so.
yeah,
In
it's evening time. It's evening
It's
time.
evening time. But this has been great for our podcast listeners to get to know what's behind the brand. It's much appreciated. As always, if you have questions, comments, want to learn more, please tell us in the various social medias, and Hillary can make this happen. And we appreciate you guys, and hope you we're excited to learn that there are people and faces and what's behind the scenes with all the different brands at Dr. Tim's Aquatics, Reptile Systems, and ASF. This has been Dr. Tim and Hillary for another Dr. Tim's Aquatics podcast, Good Fish Keeping.